For carbon monoxide pollution, there is no place worse in the country. To combat it, we have to have our cars inspected and fixed if they pollute too much. And at this time of year, some of us leave our cars at home one day a week and don't drive on high pollution days. These things are all helpful, but these strategies and a few others still may not be enough to make Denver a place with year-round, clean, healthful air. And the federal health standards have a deadline of December 1987. Will Denver meet that deadline?
There's such a short time involved that I don't see this happening by that time.
Assuming then that Denver doesn't clean up by the end of next year, it appears two things could happen. The most talked about is a loss of federal money earmarked for highway and sewer construction. The most talked about figure is $30 million. Or the metro area could be let off the hook by a controversial EPA policy called reasonable further efforts.
If you're making good efforts, if you're making reasonable further progress in the pursuit of those standards, then that should get you off the hook, and you wouldn't have to have the highway sanctions and other sanctions imposed on you.
Well, before we get to further reasonable efforts, we have to do the job that the law contemplated in the first place.
Bob Youngke works for the Environmental Defense Fund, a group considering legal action if the EPA goes ahead with the policy.
EPA is taking the position that if we don't do enough to make the air healthy, we can stop short of that, and that's illegal.
What the Clean Air Act says is that, the standards should be attained by 1987, but Congress didn't address what would happen after that point.
Further reasonable efforts is a bureaucrat's effort to make something that's short of the mark look good.
The EPA's position is that if people are doing the right thing, if they're moving ahead in the right direction and doing it as vigorously as they can, it doesn't make sense to have a gross sanction, a highway sanction.
Both sides agree that more needs to be done here. The recent tinkering with the inspection program and a freeze on wood burning on high pollution days will help, but we may have to go further yet, and the next conceivable step is a conversion to gasohol. Don't be too surprised if you see that one in the future. Steve Anderson, Environmental Specialist, News Center 4.